So, Joy, here's a question for you that I know you would love. What is the biggest pricing mistake that you've seen or that you guys dealt with early in your studio?
Yeah. Well, I love pricing, so this is totally up my alley. Biggest pricing mistake by far that I think most photographers make is they don't price themselves at what they want to be charging right off the bat. And what happens is you have new photographers who don't feel like they can justify the prices that they eventually want to be making. So they start off by offering, very heavily discounted or free things. And then when it comes time to actually being able to charge what they want, they lose all their customers because their customers are no longer their target clients.
So then they think they're doing something wrong.
Right, and they have to really start all over.
Yeah.
So it would be actually better to set your pricing of what you want it to be in, a year, 2 years out, stick to that. And if you need to, you can always offer, maybe a gift certificate at a certain value to kind of help defray some of the costs while you're just getting started with your, with your portfolio building. I actually have a really good article on this that goes into it much more in detail in my free pricing thing.
Right, and we can just link that below.
Perfect. It's joybrits.com/pricing for profit.
Perfect.
What about you?
I think the biggest mistake people make in pricing is they base everything off their 8x10 price. And so, I understand that's a kind of like low-hanging fruit. It's easy to price, but they get so stuck on the 8x10, and I don't want to build my business around selling 8x10s.
Yeah, we don't sell very many at all.
Right, and so I just think people, they really focus on that when they're building their prices, and then they try to stem everything from it, but they just keep coming back to the 8x10 is either the problem or the solution. And I think whatever you put time and energy into is what you're going to sell. And so when I relook at my prices, I like to look at my wall clusters and the stuff that we actually want to sell, and I price some of that out, and the 8x10 just kind of falls in line. But I don't like to put a lot of energy, my personal energy, into 8x10s, because then I think when you go to talk about, I guess it's like you practice what you're always thinking about. And so when I'm in front of clients and I start talking about pricing, if all I've been doing is practicing the 8x10 prices in my head, that's what just comes out.
Right.
So I just don't want to spend a lot of time there. So I focus a lot of my pricing on our higher end products that I do want to sell.
Yeah. I have one more mistake. I know that we were just going to talk about one, but it's me. I can't just talk about one thing with pricing. The other big mistake that I see is photographers base their pricing on their competition's pricing.
Yes.
They try to look at what other people are charging in the area. Huge mistake, because you don't even know if your clients or if your competition is profitable.
Right.
So you have no idea what their cost of goods is. You don't know what their time that they put into it is. You don't know what their expenses are. So their situation is completely different. You don't even know if they're paying themselves.
Yeah, and you don't know if they're even selling any of it. So you could price your 8x10 at $400, and they may sell one 8x10 a year.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's true. I think just in general how we've built our business with pricing and a lot of different things is we looked at our competition and we zigged when they zagged. And so we have a lot of competition with discs in our market, and we have a lot of people selling small prints like 5x7s and 8x10s. And so all of our marketing, all of our business is based around bigger portraits that the other studios are like, I never sell bigger portraits. And it allowed us to differentiate ourselves, and customers seek us out because of that. And if we just copied what they were doing with their pricing and their marketing and their business plan, we would just duplicate what they would, and the customer wouldn't know why they're coming to us over somebody else.
Right. And most people don't really want to compete on pricing anyway.
No.
I mean, it's a very hard thing to win unless you're maybe a volume studio or the lowest place in town.
Right.
But most people just aren't. You're not going to win based on price.
Right.
So you need to find what makes you special.
And I think Seth Godin says it really well. He talks about the race to the bottom, cutting prices, and so he talks about how it's always a race to the bottom. And then his comment at the end of every time he talks about it is what if you win that race? What happens if you win the race to the bottom? That's not a race that you want to be involved in, and it's not a race you want to win. So stop trying to compete on lower prices and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, great advice.